Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited to be talking to my guest today. I know, I say that every time, but this is, it's going to be so much fun because one of the things people don't know about me is when I was in school, right? I was one of those, I was going to be an actress. I was going to be on Broadway, but I loved it. But I also saw, even then, how important those skills are in the business world. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so please join me in welcoming Carl Walsh to our program. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks, Deb. And, I love your podcast because you have so many different personalities on. And you're quite a personality.
I
You're
was
saying,
going to say, and then there's guests.
yeah, yeah. There are so many personalities right there in front of me. So, right. So, thank you so much for having me on.
Great. Well, let me tell folks a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into this. So Carl Walsh is a speaker, consultant, and business coach who blends theatrical experience with corporate leadership. With 20 years as an award-winning actor and director, 25 years in corporate management, including as an IT director, and 15 years as a professional speaker, he brings dynamic storytelling and strategic insight to business growth. As the co-host of the Oval Table podcast, we'll ask about that name, and co-founder of Alpha Dogs Small Business Coaching, Carl helps small businesses foster creativity, improve communication, and apply lessons from the theater to leadership and innovation. A certified red team thinking coach, he challenges teams to think critically and adapt in a rapidly changing world. So again, Carl, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's almost as if I wrote that bio, huh?
I know.
And the thing is, I didn't. So.
Yeah, mine is now AI generated. And I did take out some of the really fluffies that, AI tends to put in.
AI loves to put in there. Yes, I know.
That likes to make us think we're king of the world or queen of the world.
Right. Well, of course they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have had quite the background. So tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you are today.
Right. Well, I came into business from left field. Absolutely. I did not intend to do that. And really, for me, it starts when I was 7 years old. I hate to go back that far, but that's really where it started. I think it was in February, and it was a kind of a cool, cloudy day, and I just, for some reason, I had to see Lawrence of Arabia.
Huh.
It was in its initial run. Yes, I am dating myself. And now, we didn't live in Beverly Hills, but in those days, a big movie played in one theater, a big grand theater. And so my mother dropped me off at the theater on Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills.
Oh, it is
one of those grand
Yes.
palaces. And I went in, got my popcorn and Coke, and sat down. Now, Lawrence of Arabia started with an overture, as grand movies did in those days. And then the lights came down, and there's these trumpets and drums banging, and really big stuff. And then it came down, and the lights came down, and then there's the Lawrence of Arabia theme. Now I'm ready. Okay, I'm in the mood. And for the next 3.5 hours,
It's a long movie.
I'm lost. I am totally into this film, except for the intermission. Yes, movies had intermission.
Because you needed to take a break.
Right. And they wanted to sell more popcorn and hot dogs. But when the lights came up for the intermission, I discovered that I had not touched my popcorn or Coke.
You've been transfixed.
Right. And came back, finished the film, and I realized I still had not touched my popcorn or Coke. But I carried them out to the car. My mother was dutifully out there with the car waiting for me. And she said, "So how was the movie?" I said, "I want to do that. I want to do that." And she said, "What? Go to Arabia?" And I said, "No, no, no. What I want to do is what Peter O'Toole did. He took me and a whole bunch of people to completely different places and made us think about things completely differently." And that's kind of a lot for a 7-year-old kid to think about. But it set me on my path. And I was committed at that point to being an actor and doing that. Now, oddly enough, I was very shy.
Well,
And
a lot of really great actors are because
actors
they can
are.
play the role.
Right.
And
Exactly. And one of the reasons I was shy was because I was a short, cross-eyed kid with a really bad stutter.
oh dear,
So of course I wanted to be an actor.
yes,
Natural,
you're
right?
going to be a leading man.
But I had trouble being on stage from that starting point, being in front of people. But you know what got me out of it? Once again, I was in Washington, D.C., visiting friends with my mother and brother. And the people we were visiting, their daughter was a very good ballet dancer. And we went to pick her up at her ballet class. And again, I was transfixed because I loved classical music. And this was a revelation to me. I'm watching ballet. What is ballet? It's music in motion. And I said, "Oh, I want to do that." And so we came back to LA and she got me hooked up to two of the greatest, and I didn't know that at the time. I had no idea I was working with ballet royalty. David Lachine and Tatiana Riobuchinska, who in the 1930s and 40s were the top of the ballet world. They were famous, world famous. And they took me under their wing. For some reason, I was this stocky kid. I didn't have those long lines.
Yes,
Right. But I always was there. I always showed up. And that was my first business lesson that I ever learned. And I didn't realize it, but that was my first business lesson. I always showed up. And David, who was at that time a world-class choreographer, he just put me in everything he did. It was my first professional job. And I was young. I was really young. I was 13 years old. But here I was working with this world-renowned artist. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. And then I got used to being in front of an audience. It was fine then. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So acting after that was not a problem. And in high school, acting, then I went to UCLA theater department. And now I never got cast the big role on the main stage productions, but I kept working in the directing classes. Because they needed actors, the directing students needed actors to do their scenes. And so I was always there.
Again, you were showing up.
Right? And in my junior year, I was walking
somewhere else. I saw this.
Yes, in my junior year, I was walking down the hall. And again, just luck here. I never looked at those things that were in the bulletin board, but there was this stack, and I had a few minutes. I was waiting for my next rehearsal, and I went through the stack, and there was this bulletin about summer class. Well, actually, this was in my sophomore year. In the summer, there was going to be a month-long workshop at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, specializing in Shakespeare. And I said, well, the very first play I was ever in, I played Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream. I didn't really fully understand everything that I was doing. I thought, oh, I'd like to understand Shakespeare a little bit better here. So my parents, God bless them, I was an adopted kid and I won the jackpot. I got the best parents that you could ever ask. I mean, I won the lottery on parents. And they said, absolutely, absolutely, you'll go. And it was relatively cheap in those days. The academy was very cheap in those days. It's not anymore. And they sent me, and I came back and I said, that's it. That's it. That's where I want to do my training.
I'm going back, Mom.
Oh, and they said, well, okay, how do you do that? And we investigated, and the following April, I had to go to New York to audition. They said, go. My first time in New York. It was my first time in New York and Broadway and all of those things. I mean, my dreams come true. I loved the trash in the trees in New York. I mean, that's how much I enjoyed myself. And I saw my first Broadway shows. I was there for a week. I was in heaven. The energy that I had. I auditioned. I didn't know that I would really get in. But about a month later, we got the phone call and I got in.
Oh, my goodness.
I later found out 2,100 people auditioned for 21 places.
Wow.
And I got in. So in the fall, I was there. Now, I hope I'm not going on too long here.
Is great, because it does all pertain.
Right. Okay. So my first day at the academy, after all the classes of our first day, I hung around. And I just wanted to walk through the building and into all the various rooms and just sort of get a feel for the place. And I went into this one room, and there's this little cabinet on the wall with doors. I thought, well, what's in here? And I opened the doors, and there was this large parchment. It was an award. Okay, it has all the signatures of British royalty going back so many years. Names like that they had signed, going back to Charles Laughton, Richard Attenborough, Albert Finney.
As you said, British royalty.
Yes, and as I went down the line, I saw Peter O'Toole. Now, this is the man who started me on my path. Oh, you got chills. And then I realized, and of course, we didn't have the internet then. I didn't know he'd been here. And I went, wow, I'm home. This is where I was supposed to go.
It was fate.
Right. And so, this is my point is, even if you think it's ridiculous and impossible, pursue it.
Right.
Do it. Show up. Just show up. And sometimes it works.
Right.
Because I got turned down a lot.
Show up. Yeah. Nothing can happen.
Yeah, because I got turned down a lot. A lot in Hollywood, and even at UCLA. I got turned down a lot. But you know what? At UCLA, there were 2 big awards that they give. And even though I never got cast in the big roles on the big stage, it's the Natalie Wood Award. It's a scholarship, and the Hugh O'Brien Award. And a lot of people got upset about this. But they gave both those awards to me.
Oh, my.
Why? Because I worked my butt off.
You showed up.
I was there until 10 o'clock at night doing rehearsals. And a lot of people got kind of got upset about it.
Right.
So who's he? And you're not giving it to the stars. Well, there you go.
Mhm.
So when I worked at Disney, sort of the same things happened. I was in the background working, and I still got noticed.
Mhm.
So you don't have to be a star.
Right. Right. In
You
fact, a
don't
lot of times the
have to be a star.
stars end up getting overlooked.
Yeah, yeah. So so another business lesson:
Mhm.
do your work.
Right.
Now, you do want people to know your thinking. You do want people to know your process if you want to get promoted,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But just do your work
Mhm. Right.
and be there. All right. So that's so. How did I get into business?
Yes, because you were this wonderful actor. You were working
Right.
for Disney. I mean, all sorts of things.
Right.
And
So how did I get to Disney? Right. How did I end up working for Disney in information technology? How did that happen? Well, when I came back to LA, I and a group of actors formed a theater company
Mhm.
with the goal that we would get casting directors to come and see our shows
Okay.
and get critics to come and see our shows, and we were successful in doing that because the very first show that we did, which we put on for $350. In fact, I was taking the box office receipts from this weekend, going down to Samuel French and paying the royalties for next weekend. And fortunately, the show was a hit. It was a hit, and it was the very first show that I directed. And from that time on, for 10 years, we never looked back. And we did not live on donations. We lived on the box office. That was it.
Nice.
And we were very proud of that. But here's the thing. I was the artistic director. I was running the theater. I was, directing maybe 2 shows a year and acting in others. And I never acted in shows that I directed because the old theater saw is the actor who directs himself has a fool for a director.
Yeah.
But but um, I loved the business side of it.
Ah, mhm.
Much to my shock, I loved the business side. And in order to make ends meet and to feed myself and to put a roof over my head, I was working in a record store. Record store. Uh,
The vinyl thingies that go.
for those who are listening, it was this vinyl, this black vinyl thing.
I think Taylor Swift has brought that back.
God bless her. Yes. God bless her. Yeah. Um, uh, and I quickly became an assistant manager. I hired on
Mhm.
as holiday part-time help, and within a few months, I was the assistant manager. Uh, and I loved the business end of that. And after a couple of years, they asked me to go into the corporate office
Oh.
and into store operations. And after I was there for a couple of years, and and I was there during the day and doing theater at night. So, um, and then after a couple of years, they came out with this crazy thing called a PC, and they threw it on my desk and said, "Make it talk."
Mhm.
And so when I wasn't doing theater at night, I would be in the office till about 10 o'clock at night, teaching myself how to use a PC. And I began cranking out numbers for my vice president, who then would take it into the CEO, and then the CEO would come over and sit at my desk, and he would ask for things, and I was feeding them numbers that they couldn't get before, or it would take several days for them to get it. And then they said, "Well, do this for the whole company. I want the accountants on this. I want, you have to teach them." And slowly but surely, I began becoming full-time business.
Mhm.
And that's how I got into business. I and I eventually left the theater because I found that I could get ahead on my merits, on what I did. And in theater, that's not always
Not
the
always
case.
the case, right?
And I hated Hollywood. I just hated it. I had a manager and an agent. My manager got me this wonderful job. 10 weeks in Egypt. I was
And you were going, Egypt, hey, you know, that's
yeah,
kind of
and
back
10
to your
weeks work,
roots.
10 weeks work on a film. Because I was British trained and I happened to look like the character I was supposed to play. Orson Welles was playing him when he got older. So, you know, so I was in good company, great. So in Hollywood, even though the manager got the job, the agent has to do the contract. So when the producer called the agent, my my manager got a phone call from the producer and said, "Look, don't worry about it. Carl's our guy for so many reasons, but just wanted to let you know that his agent tried to sell us on somebody else."
Oh, no. Another client, right?
Yes, that he could probably get a little more money for. And that was it when I say
Yeah.
I've had it with Hollywood. You know, that's yeah. So I went into business full time, and I went through a series of companies, good and bad. I learned as I went. I learned how to use what we called heavy iron. You know, the big machines. Ended up running the computer systems for a company called CNR Clothiers, which was a multi-state men's clothing, $100 million company, and eventually ended up at the Walt Disney Company, which I was in heaven. Business lesson. At the record company, they got bought out. They laid off a whole bunch of people. That was the first time I had ever been laid off. I had been with the company for 8 years, and I took it personally. I mean, I was devastated. Yeah, I was devastated. It took me a year to recover. I mean, a year of my life where I just sat and felt sorry for myself. And that happens to a lot of people. And my pride wouldn't allow me to file for unemployment. I just, for a year, I just sat and felt sorry for myself. People, it's not personal.
Right.
And with the way things are heading, a lot of people are going to get laid off. And this is a very important lesson to learn.
Right.
It's not personal.
Right.
Okay.
You know, unless you have done something to deserve to be fired.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's
yeah, and
just,
especially if they're
yeah.
doing big layoffs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got laid off from a company and I knew it was coming. I actually put my name on the list because
Yeah.
they said it would keep my staff if I went because I was the bigger paycheck, all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
But still, there's that little thing in my head that said, if they'd wanted me, they could have found a way.
Right. Yeah. But look, it's not personal. Get over it. And here's the thing I learned because I went through several layoffs after that. And, you know, it happens. It's how companies expand and contract, expand and contract. What I found from that first layoff, when I finally got off my rear, I got a much better job.
Yay!
I got a much better job, higher pay. That's where I learned to use the heavy iron so that I could advance further in future jobs. That company got into trouble. They, I had so much confidence from having found this better job that they wanted to outsource the IT department. I didn't like the people that we were being outsourced to, and the idea was they lay me off on Friday, and I start working for the outsourcing company on Monday in the same job. And when Friday came along, they said, "Well, Carl, here's your layoff check, and we'll see you on Monday." And I said, "No, you won't.
No.
You just laid me off." And that's when I got the job for Disney, which was heaven. I was, for the 5 years I worked at Disney, I knew it was the best job I would ever have, and it was the best job I ever had. I went around the world. They parked me in London for 5 months, which I just now here I was back home
Right, as you
with
said,
money in my
you already
pocket.
knew London.
Yeah, well, that's why they sent me. They actually said, "Send Carl. He
Yeah.
knows the language.
He's been there. He's done that. Mhm.
He knows the language." So, but what a great job that was. So much fun.
Mhm.
But Disney doesn't pay that much.
No.
It's something that you get on your resume. And yeah, I went on to, I got an offer I couldn't refuse, working for the same person I worked for in the music company.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was a terrible company. So I left there after a year and got out and ended up working for the person I worked for in Disney in another company.
Which is one of those don't burn bridges.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Was there for 10 years when I finally had enough of the corporate world and went out on my own. And that brings me to where I am today. I started a speaking career, and then now I've teamed up with somebody, and we started the consulting company, and we did the podcast, which is on hold until we start that up again, because we want to fold it into the consulting company. And now you know my life.
I love it. I love it. And one of the things that struck me as you were talking about it was wherever you were, when they said, "We need someone to do," you said, "I'll do it," and not, "That's not my job."
Oh no. No, if they need something to be done and they come to you, it means they think you can do it.
Right.
Now, every time they did that, it was something I didn't know how to do.
Right. But they had faith in you.
Right. Right. Now, me working in information technology, the theater arts major,
That's, yeah, different sides of your brain, all of those things.
give me a break. I hated algebra in high school. I ended up making a living doing algebra. And on my SAT tests, my score was higher in math than it was in English. I couldn't believe it. Why? It turns out my brain works that way.
Right. Which is actually, very good in theater,
Yeah.
and whatever it is, TV, movies, whatever, because you have to be very analytical. You have to be 3 steps ahead, if not more. I mean, all of those various things. And clearly it is difficult to memorize lines. And that's the thing, is it really is using all the same skill sets.
Well, the thing that they do in repertoire theater,
Yes.
repertoire, that they do a lot in England, and that we did at the Royal Academy. You're rehearsing one play in the morning, you're rehearsing another play in the afternoon, and you're performing a play at night. You're working on 3 plays at the same time, memorizing those lines. So it's a great workout for the brain.
Did you ever get mixed up?
Never.
Ah,
Never.
good.
No, because you don't memorize lines per se.
Right.
You memorize situations, you memorize the emotional logic, you memorize the situation.
Right. The other characters, all of that.
Right.
It's the story again.
And the funny thing about acting is, and rehearsals, is everybody knows everybody else's lines before they know their
Right.
own.
Uh-huh.
And which at first is a little irritating when everybody else is telling you your line, but then you realize, well, yeah, that's the way it works.
Right. And the thing is, it really, really makes you think on your feet. I was in a performing theater group when I was in college, and it was a Methodist university in Kansas. So we did a lot of performing in Methodist churches in Kansas, right? And our theater director, he wrote everything we did. Now, we also did so we'd go somewhere, and on Saturday night, we would do a musical performance. And so, a lot of big band, a lot of 40s music, all those really fun songs, right? With a lot of really fun choreography and everything. But then we would do a religious play for church, as part of the church service the next day. And Don was famous for 10 minutes before you're going on stage, he'd hand you revisions. And sometimes it would just be your part that changed and nobody else knew it was changing. So, they're like, okay, she's over there now. And I thought she was supposed to be over here. But thinking on our feet was an incredible skill. And of course, that really ties into business because you never know what the heck's going to happen.
Right. But one of the things that, and I do want to get into some of these lessons that I learned in theater that are so important, and which I'm putting down into a book called "From the Stage to the Boardroom."
Ooh, I love it.
Is how do you think on your feet? What keeps you on track? And that is know your purpose. What is the purpose of your business? What is the purpose of your job? That was one thing that was so clear at Disney. Everybody knew what the purpose was.
Right.
What are you doing? And where I learned the purpose at the Disney store was across the street from the corporate headquarters was the first Disney store in the Glendale Galleria. And every afternoon, not every afternoon, I'm sorry, but one afternoon when I was I was having a bad day, and I left the office. I walked down. I went across the street to the store just to clear my head. And in those days, the stores all had what we called Plush Mountain, and it was all the stuffed toys, all the plushies into a mountain in the against the back wall, and you could pretty much always find in the afternoon a young mother with their toddler child playing with one of the stuffed toys, and it's something that we encouraged. We were all for that.
Oh yeah, because they played with it and then they said, "I want."
Yeah, right. And I just stood there and I watched that, and I went, "That's it. That's it. That's what we do. We create that situation. We make that happen hundreds of times around the world every day. We make that moment between that mother and that child. That's it." And from that day forward, whenever I was having a rough time, I went, no, I knew my purpose.
And you remembered that child probably giggling, having
Yes.
fun.
And the look on the mother's face when
Right.
she was when she was playing. I went, okay, that's fine. And that would put me right back on track. So particularly for a small business, you're going to have a lot of times where you're going to have a rough day. You're trying to keep the lights on. Just remember why you built this business.
Right.
What was your dream? What was it you wanted to give to your community? Just remember that.
Right. And it doesn't have to be grandiose.
No.
Maybe it's, I want to have the best landscaping business so that people love coming home.
Exactly. That's it. It's not to make money. Yeah, you want to make money. Of course you do. But is that really your purpose? No.
Because if it was, you'd be doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, that's to me a fundamental point for businesses everywhere. Remember your purpose, and it's not necessarily to make money. The money will come if you stay focused on your purpose.
Right.
All right. So, and just like for me in theater, my purpose was never to be a star because I knew I was never going to be one. What if everything worked beautifully for me? I wanted to be one of those actors that just worked a lot, and you might recognize his face, but you don't know his name.
Yeah, and you're not quite sure from where,
Yeah.
but
Because I wanted to be able to go out to dinner and not be, harassed.
you wanted to be able to go out to dinner.
Yes.
And that was
That's the kind of actor I wanted to be.
right.
And that's one of the reasons I did theater.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be recognized everywhere I go. Okay. And I wanted to share all these moments that Peter O'Toole shared with me on that day when I saw Lawrence of Arabia.
Mhm.
That's what I wanted to do.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That was my purpose.
Mhm.
All right. One of the things that I learned is leadership from the bottom up. We were doing The Winter's Tale at the Royal Academy, and we all the rehearsal rooms were taken at the Academy, so they set us up in a pub about a block away, and in a rehearsal room, this was not uncommon. They had a room upstairs at the pub, and we would rehearse up there. Well, our director liked his beer.
Yeah.
And he would sit.
Taking college students to a pub. This is not going to go well.
Well, no, we were serious. We, as actors, we were quite serious.
Yes.
Yeah, you
You
believe
were at
me.
the Royal Academy.
Yeah, and taxi drivers in London at the time, they'd say, "Oh, you're at the Royal Academy. Oh, I'll bet that's wild, huh?" And I said, "No,
hard
we're
work.
very serious and we're very boring. If you want wild, go to a party with a bunch of insurance salesmen. Then fine." But so we're doing Winter's Tale, which is a very difficult play. It's one of Shakespeare's problem plays. And I'm playing the lead. This is my first Shakespearean lead, an American actor in London. And
That could
the
be a
director
play into
sits,
itself.
yeah. And the director is sitting in the back of the room, drinking pint after pint. We would rehearse a scene. And my leading lady is now Dame Juliet Stevenson. So, we were
You were
doing a very
serious,
best.
yes.
Yeah. And we would rehearse a scene and turn to him and say, "Well, any pointers?" And he'd say, "No, it's fine. Do
Because he had no clue.
do the next one." And so we're thinking, well, either we're really good or what?
Right.
And
We're so bad he doesn't care.
yeah. And opening night's coming, and we're kind of suspecting that this is going to be a disaster. And we were right.
Oh, no.
It was a hot mess. It was just terrible, just awful. And afterwards, I go to the bar at the Academy, and because I need a drink at this point. And about 3 feet from me is the director at the bar, and he turns to me and he says, "Where do you suppose we went wrong?" I wanted to kill him.
I was gonna say, did you even respond?
No. I mean, the rage was, just
Right. And luckily you were smart enough to not respond.
yeah. But lesson. Where were we? Why didn't we
Right. Help
take
each other.
charge? Why didn't we take charge? We could have rehearsed on our own. And we knew enough about theater that we could have had someone who's not in the scene
Right.
outside directing.
Well, and
Maybe it
especially
wouldn't.
when you knew he was not going to do it.
Right. I mean, why didn't we take charge? Well, because we were used to being directed, having a leader.
It wasn't
and
our role.
right. So why didn't we take charge? What was wrong with us? Well, I never let that happen again. Right? So lesson, if no one's leading, someone's need to stand up.
And we've probably all been in a situation in business where, for whatever reason, the person in charge is not being in charge.
That's right. Now, one thing that we push a lot in our consulting business, in fact, it's sort of our foundation, is collaboration. Collaboration works. And when the theater company that we formed, it was a collaborative effort entirely. And theater is a collaborative
Right.
art.
Everybody has to work together, from the stagehands to
Right.
the actors to the craft table to all of those things, right?
That's right. And in rehearsals, hey, everything's being done out in the open in front of everybody else. The collaborative effort is being done. Nothing's being done in secret. Yes, the director is sort of guiding things along, but even he's got to make sure that he's guiding people in an area that they can accept.
Right.
Because you've got 12 people who all have a stake in the finished product. And you've got to bring them into your vision as much as you can.
Right.
And so why can't business be like that?
Right.
And it can.
It can.
I've seen it happen.
Right. Right.
At Disney, back in the 90s, which is when I was at Disney, the collaborative effort is what made Disney work, and what made it such a juggernaut that it became. It was during the 90s that it became the powerhouse, the global powerhouse. And at Disney, what we used to do in the IT department, most IT departments decide what they're going to create and what's best for everyone. We didn't do that. Every 2 weeks, we had a representative from all the different departments in a meeting, and they decided what was important. And they voted on what was the most important thing. So if their project didn't make it to the top, they understood why.
Right.
And they had a hand in the decision. They understood
Right.
why theirs didn't get to the top.
Well, I mean, Disney's big thing is it is a team.
That's right. A lot of companies say that.
Disney really is, though.
But it is. Well, at least at the Disney store, it was. There were parts of the company that were not, and they were very unhappy. Not everything was the happiest place on earth at Disney. But I can tell you that the Disney store at that time, I can't speak to what's going on now. I'm not there. But I can tell you that the Disney store at that time was an incredibly happy company. And so everybody felt they had a say. They had a part in the decision.
They were needed.
But they had a part in the decision that was made. Even if it didn't go the way they wanted it to, they had a part in it.
Well,
so
and then
when
they
the
could
decision,
look at it and go, do I need to redo it? Why wasn't it selected?
Yeah. But what happened was, when the decision was made, and they said student body left, everybody went student body left. And with no grumpiness. And that was a very powerful thing. And it's one of the ways that we were able to expand. When I started at the Disney store, they had, I think it was 165 stores. And I thought, what, geez, does the world need another Disney store? Well, it turned out they did. By the time I left, they had over 600.
Wow.
And that was five years. I was responsible, I and my team, which was not large. I and my team was responsible for getting all the systems installed into every store globally. And there were weeks where we were installing 5 stores on a Friday every week. And that's the rate that we were expanding. And you couldn't do that unless everyone was on point.
Right.
Everybody was going in the same direction and knew what they were doing and were happy to do it.
Right.
I used to go in there on the weekends, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And I wasn't the only one.
Right. I was going to say you were not the only one. But they all took notice of that.
Mhm.
That's the thing is I think and it wasn't really a negative that somebody wasn't there because they
No.
weren't, but they did notice who was.
Yeah. We were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, when the day I left, and I knew I had to because, I had to get to where I could buy a house and buy a
Like you said,
things like that.
Disney doesn't pay as well as they could.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I teared up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to leave.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I did not want to leave,
Mm-hmm.
but I loved that company.
Mm-hmm. Right. And there are so many ways that, we've been talking about it, that acting is so beneficial to being a business leader.
Mhm.
And I mean, how many times have we heard, the president, the CEO, the department leader, whoever say, I feel like I'm acting or pretending all the time. And there's all of that. But there's so many things. Like one of the things is that, when you're in theater, things happen. And you adapt very quickly. My mother-in-law was a huge opera fan, but she was very specific. She was a Thomas Hampson fan.
Uh-huh.
And so, and he's this marvelous baritone. And plus he's really he's a pretty nice looking dude. But so
That always helps.
I know. And we took her several places. I mean, we obviously took her to the Met. We took her to the Lyric. And we took her to San Francisco. And I honestly don't remember what performance he was in San Francisco, but the leading lady took a tumble
Mhm.
and twisted an ankle pretty good right before intermission. And in fact, I don't think the audience even knew it happened. And so they came back and they said, we're going to be taking a little bit longer break. Okay, whatever. And when they came back, they said, she has taken a tumble. She wants to continue, but she can't, we're going to have to make some adaptations. And in 10 minutes, they reblocked everything.
Yeah.
They carried her from place to place. I mean, it was amazing. And pretty soon you forgot that wasn't part of what was happening. And I think it's that way in business. Things happen and we can sit there and whine and whimper and get angry and all of those things. Or you can say, what do we need to do to go on?
Right. And sometimes mistakes are a gift.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, I was directing a show, which it's actually a comedy by Alan Ayckbourn, one of my favorite playwrights, and it's a comedy with a dark edge, and you have to be really careful that it doesn't get too dark. And there's this scene where it's in a living room and people are getting kind of drunk. And one guy gets very drunk.
Oh my.
And to the point where at the end of the scene, they have to carry him out. Two guys, on each arm, carry him out. Now, the way the furniture was set up on the set, and we hadn't thought of this, they have to carry him out on this one side, but there's this big chair, big comfy chair blocking their exit. And they're carrying him out and they stop and they say, well, what do we do now? I said, carry him up.
Yeah, go up and over.
Yeah, we'll fix it. But just for now, just carry him up over the chair. They did, and the chair went over and they walked him out.
Yeah.
I was in
just
hysterics.
Like it was perfectly timed.
I was in hysterics. I couldn't talk for about a minute. And I said, we are keeping that.
Yep. Guess what?
We are absolutely, and they go, oh, no, come on. I said, no, we are keeping that. And they didn't trust, at first they didn't trust me. I said, believe me, we're keeping it.
It fits with the scene. It's okay.
Yeah, and it takes this dangerous, this could be a really dangerous scene here where it could get really sour, and it ends the scene on this huge laugh, which it did every single night.
Right, because of course they played it straight.
Right, exactly, and it worked. It worked a charm. It worked a charm.
Right.
So as I say, sometimes a mistake is a gift.
Right.
Is a gift.
And maybe it's you're giving a presentation and something happens.
Right. Oh boy, it does almost every time.
Oh, I know. And I tell people, obviously it depends on what it is, but acknowledge it.
Right.
I think one of the funniest ones that ever happened to me, I talk with my hands, right? And I waved one too many times and brought the glass of water over right into me. And my lesson learned was ask for a bottle of water or bring my own, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I looked down and I went, well, that was fun. And I buttoned my jacket and we went on. But I acknowledged it. If I hadn't acknowledged it, it would have been very strange. And if you're somewhere where they're serving food, somebody's going to drop a food tray. That's when you say, "You okay back there?" Or, whatever. Or maybe your PowerPoint presentation stops and, all of these things. And so, you are in a way acting your way through these things. I've had a couple of times I've had guests who are improv people. And that is so important when you are, a leader. You have to do improv. Because you're not quite sure what's going to happen sometimes. It doesn't always go to script. So how can you handle that?
Right. And again, if you know why you're doing what you're doing and what is your destination,
Right.
you'll get there. And kind of to go further on this to another end for business and what I was talking about earlier as far as layoffs go, the year that I auditioned for the Royal Academy, unknown to me, Carrie Fisher, who was unknown at that time.
Right. She had not been Princess Leia yet.
Yeah. Also auditioned. She did not get in.
Ooh. With her pedigree, she did not get in.
Well, yeah.
And her talent.
Well, when the term started, it was all in the newspapers. Debbie Reynolds was going nuts about how dare they not accept her daughter into the Royal Academy. And it was a big scandal. And I was going, geez, and I didn't know Carrie Fisher. I didn't know if she could act or not. Here's the thing. She, very soon after that, was cast in Star Wars.
Oh, my.
Now, had she been accepted to the Royal Academy,
she couldn't have auditioned for
she probably would not have been cast in Star Wars. Lesson? Not every loss is a loss.
Right. Things happen for a reason.
It was a huge win for her that she did not get into the Royal Academy. And she went on to have an incredible career. And a lot of people don't know that she was one of Hollywood's leading script doctors. You've seen a lot of movies where she had a lot to do with the final script. She was one of the best. So even when she stopped acting, which was quite some time ago, she was there as a script doctor. She had a tremendous career doing that.
Right.
So
well, and that's another lesson. Pivot when you need to pivot.
Exactly. She had a tremendous career, which might have been lost had she joined me in the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art.
Right. And poor Han Solo. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, They would have found somebody else. Somebody else would have done it.
Might have been better, might have been worse. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't
but
know.
thank God she got it.
Yes.
Thank God she got it.
Well, oh my gosh, Carl, this has been absolutely fascinating. We have to have you on again because I still have so many questions. And so we will have you on because I think it is. It's so important to really be thinking that we didn't even talk about your company, which is the Alpha Dog Group. And
We are Alpha Dogs. Is which is about to launch officially. And we've been putting a lot of work into it. We're really excited. We're about to start our online webinars, and we're really looking forward to it. And I do want to come back and get more into the business side of this. It's fun talking about the theater, but I really want to get into the business end.
Yeah, and so we will definitely have you on again because while the parallels are obviously so strong, yeah, there's so much that we need to talk about from the business and just why the heck did you call it Alpha Dog and all of those things. So we will have you on again. But for people who are saying, I need you to come talk to my folks, I need you to help us out. How do they find you, and what are the services that you provide?
Yes, please. If you want to get in touch, it's real easy. Carl at wearealphadogs.com. And if you want to contact us, we'll let you know as soon as we launch. We are right on the edge there. We're working with our marketing folks and getting it all together. And we've been buried in getting that done. And because we want to do it right, because we want to help other people do it right. And marketing is something that we are not good at. So we have we went out and got a great marketing team.
Perfect.
And they are doing a tremendous job for us. So Carl at wearealphadogs.com. What we are offering we have two main thrusts at what we do, and that's creating the oval table, which is we have identified 7 different business personalities that can clash like crazy, but each of them is essential
right
to running a good business. And we've created this oval table
right because
that we
there's
feel
no one at the head of the table.
That's right. And our belief is if you can get those 7 personalities, or as many of them as you possibly can, a small business may not have all 7. That's okay. But get as many as you can sitting around that table for the big decisions. Get that diverse thinking going and have it run smoothly because all of them understand each other and why they think the way they do. And get them running smoothly, you will get the best decisions that you possibly can because they all are contributing from their viewpoint. That's the oval table. Now, of course, we get a lot deeper than what I just did, but that's the view at 36,000 feet. Then we go into our essential criteria, where we have outlined the criteria of what's essential for a healthy business, and we will take a business through those criteria in order, one by one. You have to achieve this. Once you achieve that, you can achieve this. Then you can achieve this. And once you get those nailed, you will have a healthy, functioning business, from finance to innovation to employees. And we want to take you from a company that is on the cusp of doing well to a company that you just cannot fail. And that's our goal. We want to make a successful company, and we feel that to have a successful company, you have to have successful employees.
Right.
That's our motto. That's our motto.
Very cool. Well, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to have you on again. This has been absolutely delightful. And like I said, I still have notes. So we will make that happen. But until then, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yes, you don't want to be that person that hates to go to work and then hates at the end of the day to go home. And that's what we want to get people to, where they're successful at work, they're at peace at work, they're happy at work, and the same thing at home. And we think we can help you get there because the same principles work in both places.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Well, I've been having so much fun talking with Carl Walsh of Alpha Dog Small Business Coaching. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.